You do not have to struggle with anxiety for the rest of your life. There absolutely is a way out. And I'm going to share with you the 3 things that you're going to notice when you begin to recover from anxiety. Hey everyone, welcome to the Anxiety Rewired podcast. My name is Laith. It is great to have you here. And before I even start, I just wanted to let everyone know this is my very, very, very first podcast. And 3 years ago, you would not catch me in front of a camera filming a podcast. There's just no way. My anxiety would have held me back from doing anything like this. And if my story is anything to go by, I just wanted to share that you can absolutely work with your anxiety to a point where you no longer feel like anxiety is in the driver's seat of your life. Okay. I'm here. I've had a lived experience with anxiety, and I can tell you, and I don't even really need to tell you, it's debilitating at times. It holds us back from experiencing the joy and the fun of life, because deep down, when we think about anxiety, most of us, and let me know if you agree in the comments, right? Most of us would do anything to avoid it. I remember like 2 decades of my life, 20 years of avoiding beautiful situations, for example, social situations, things that I truly wanted to be a part of, like deeply, even though I was heading away from connecting with other people, I deeply, truly wanted to connect with other people. I deeply wanted to feel like I was understood. I was just having a conversation with someone just yesterday, and I asked them, how understood do you feel by other people when it comes to your anxiety? And they said, no one understands anxiety. Nobody understands what I'm going through. And I can't even begin to tell you how many people I'm speaking to on a day-to-day basis now that feel like they're the only one going through these struggles. A lot of us, myself included, for 20 years, I hid in silence. Even the closest people in my life didn't know. And that might be a little different for you. You might have support people and partners and, your kids, if you have children and stuff, they might know about how you struggle with anxiety. And I want to let you know that it's normal. Anxiety is normal. Yet we've really allowed ourselves to feel like this ain't normal, and we get into comparison and all this incredible stuff that I used to do. I used to do this all the time. Now we find ourselves so deeply in comparison, wondering, why can that person just get on the train? Or why is that person in a social situation? They seem to be having a good time. And I'm over here in the corner and I'm stuck in my head and I've got all these thoughts swirling around in my mind and my heart's racing and I feel my pump. You know where I'm going with this, right? It's so hard when we feel like we're alone. And I want to let you know you're never alone. Okay. And if this podcast is the only thing that you can hook into and grab onto in your hope to recover from anxiety, then I want you to subscribe here. Okay. I want you to be here because I've got so many things coming up. All right. Because the way that I approach anxiety is not common. Okay. It is not common. But in order for me to recover, I had to do what others weren't prepared to do. That's what I'm here to teach you. So if that gives you hope, I'm so excited to have you here. So what are the 3 things? What are the 3 things you are going to notice? Okay, when you know that you are beginning to recover from anxiety? I want to cover these things with you because these came up in my experience and I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. After so many years, 20 years, I started to feel these things. Now, the first thing is you're going to start to feel safe in your body again. If you have physical symptoms when it comes to anxiety, so things like dizziness, feeling sick, you might have a rapid heartbeat. Okay, when I got myself into situations, my anxiety would absolutely let me know, ding, 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 through my heart rate, beating out of my chest. Like I thought at one point I was having a heart attack. Okay, my anxiety would let me know. Okay, sweaty palms, jittery. So you feel all that energy, you feel tingly, you feel shaky. Anxiety presents itself in so many different ways for different people, and you will know your symptoms better than anyone else. But when you return home to your body and you feel safe in your body, these signals, which they're only signals, okay, our physical symptoms of anxiety inherently aren't here to harm us. Okay, it's not the mess, it's the message they're trying to send. So when you begin to notice you're recovering, you're going to begin to notice that the volume of your physical symptoms, so the things happening in your body that you're used to noticing, all of a sudden, the volume turns down. There might be a sprinkle of it left. There might be a small trace of it, but it is nowhere near as significant or as impactful as it once was. So for me, my example is when I went into situations specifically like meetings where I knew I had to speak up, or I was part of a meeting, or I had to be involved in some way, that just the thought of that alone, oh my goodness, the anticipatory anxiety that I felt about knowing I had to step into this meeting and actually speak or be a part of it, and people will have their eyes on me, deeply impacted my physiology. That set my heart rate off like you wouldn't believe. It was like it was happening like right here and now, but the meeting wasn't until next week. Do you know what I mean? Like, can you relate to this in some way? So what you're going to notice is you're going to notice that your body begins to soften. That's what I noticed. Like butter melting in the summer sun, it just softens. And you're going to feel like, okay, I'm in this situation that would normally cause me anxiety, but I'm softening to the experience. And it's a beautiful confirmation that I absolutely know that you can get to. You just have to be doing the work, okay? And I know you're sitting there and you're probably like, Laith, I've been trying to do the work, and Laith, I've been doing this, and I've been meditating and I feel more anxious, or I've been doing certain types of things and I feel more anxious, or I got told just to lean into the anxiety and throw myself at it and just go for it and face my fears, but yet you're still here feeling anxious. It's okay, okay? Because you're in the right place here, because I'm going to show you some things. It's going to be absolutely powerful. So make sure you're subscribed. I don't want you to miss anything that I'm putting out, because it's going to be epic. The next thing you notice, you begin trusting yourself again. You really do, because sometimes with anxiety, when we choose to avoid our anxiety, so the things that we know that trigger us, we will stay away from certain people, certain situations at work, certain situations at home, public transport, and knowing that there's team meetings, we avoid them because we do not want to be called on. We do not want to be the one putting a hand up that has to speak or speak up. There are so many ways. The intrusive thoughts that come from nowhere. You're driving down the road and you get all of these really what people would call unusual thoughts. I'm telling you, my friends, they're normal. You would be stunned at how many people have intrusive thoughts, spiraling thoughts, very what people would call unusual thoughts, and they're not saying anything about it. You are not alone, okay? I just want to let you know that. So when you begin to trust yourself, okay, you are not allowing your anxiety to rule every situation in your life. You are not treating every sensation that comes up in your body, okay, as a threat, okay? But you're trusting your inner voice, okay? The inner voice is something we develop on our recovery pathway, okay? It's an inner voice that guides us when these situations come up, okay, to come back to our truth, to back ourselves, to trust ourselves. So that's what you're going to notice. You're going to notice your inner voice isn't one of judgment. Your inner voice becomes one of support. Your inner voice becomes one of, hey, we've been here. We got through it last time. Instead of, hey, we need to get out of here, run, or stay and fight, or say something to that person. And the inner voice kicks in, that critic that wants to get in there and shut us down. The nervous system activation response that pushes us right up into that fight, flight, flee response, or fawn for a lot of people, okay, which is pleasing, I'm so sorry, apologizing, etc., etc., etc. But you notice these states, and instead of going there, you notice that the sensations are less, the inner voice kicks in and it's saying, hey, I support you. You know, our truth is this, and we can choose to do whatever we want in this situation. And it comes from a place of just trust and awareness and allowing without resistance. Super, super powerful. And the third thing you'll notice, my friends, is your peace, that peaceful feeling that you will arrive at becomes your new home. It really does. You begin to notice that most of your day, okay, is spent feeling at peace because of all the work that you'll be doing, right? Stuff I'll be showing you. You'll be adding these little tiny steps into your day that add up exponentially over time. And we're going to recondition your nervous system to not be so responsive and not be so sensitive, okay, to the potential threats to the intrusive thoughts, to the things that come up in your daily active experience that would normally trigger you into anxiety and panic and fear. We're going to retrain your nervous system to know that you can handle it. And if you choose not to handle it because it's an actual threat, a real threat in front of you, absolutely bring on the anxiety. Bring it on. I want to get out of here. I don't want to be in the presence of negative people. I don't want to be in the presence of the situation over here. I don't need to be, because now you're in your truth. I want to teach you this because it's when you get this, it'll change your life. It's changed my life, and that's why I'm here. That's why I've started this podcast, okay, because I came through a horrible 20 years. And I had some glimmers of beauty in there as well. Don't get me wrong. My life for 20 years wasn't all horrible. But I tell you, I lost 20 years of my life to anxiety. 20 years. And I can't get that time back. Time is the most precious thing I have. That is it. And I want to help you to spend the rest of your life without living in fear. So peace becomes your new home, okay? Peace becomes a place where you live most of the time. And anxiety, right, is present in the moments when there is actually something to fear or worry about. Anxiety becomes reconditioned as a response to something that is true, that is really threatening. Okay? But it's going to take some work. So those are the three things that you are absolutely going to notice. I noticed these things coming into my life one after the other, and it started with the physical sensations in my body, the volume coming down, okay? It started there, and I noticed it. I noticed my heart's not beating as fast. I'm not getting as sweaty. I don't feel as nervous about this. The intrusive thoughts I would normally get about situations, they're just not there. You know, that led to building trust with myself. You know, the second part that we just talked about, having this unbelievable trust that I can handle this. Trust that I can take a breath in between a stimulus coming into my active experience, something that would normally trigger me. I can stop. I can pause. I can notice the silence, and I can respond because we have that power. Okay? And then the third thing, as we go through those first couple of things, what comes out the end? More peace. I spend most of my day in peace. I'm not avoiding situations. I know, because I built the inner voice and I've built the reconditioning and rewiring in my nervous system to know that most of our day we're in peace. When we need to get out of peace and we need to fight and flight or, you know, run away or fawn, if we choose to go there, there's a genuine reason for it. There's an actual threat. So I'm so glad that you are here, because the journey to recovery with anxiety is absolutely possible. It is absolutely possible. But there's a process. There's a sequence we've all got to go through. But today I really wanted to share what you're going to look forward to as you go through your anxiety recovery journey. It's a beautiful place to be. It is a hard place sometimes to get to. I see so many people stuck in the anxiety cycle, which I'll do another podcast about. Let me know in the comments right now. Just even if you have to pause the video, just do that. Let me know in the comments. Would you like to see a video about anxiety and the anxiety cycle, and what part of the brain and body we get stuck in the cycle, and where you need to catch yourself so that you can exit the cycle, so that the anxiety stops fueling your life, stops fueling your day, stops ruling everything in your life? Would you like to see that video? Because if you would, let me know in the comments. And remember, subscribe. I'm going to be dropping a video here once a week at least. And if you want more from me, let me know. I'm here to help you recover. I don't want you to cope anymore. Coping in my world is BS. Okay? It is absolute BS. We do not need to cope. We can actually do things that are true and meaningful, that actually feel good. They feel good, and they help us recover from anxiety right here, right now. So sending you so much peace. I want you to know that you make sense. And as you go through this podcast and other podcasts with me, you are going to begin to realize how much power that you have within you to heal and to recover. So we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for being here.